Okay, it looks like we're underway. All right, Claudio. Well, thank you for joining me. You are actually my first official person that I've interviewed on this channel. So I really appreciate you volunteering to do this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And Lorenzo sent me the records to review, which are fantastic. Both of those that you and Umberto have done. And I'm very intrigued to speak to you about this because I think it's very unique, your style of playing and also the combination of how you two played together on these records. Before I start interrogating you, though, I wanted to just kind of go through some of your accomplishments because I think a lot of people probably won't know of all the things that you've done over your career, which is actually, I was very impressed. There's a lot of here, I kind of summarized it here. So I thought that was interesting that Umberto had said that he says, and this is a quote that he said, I remember well the feeling I had. Note after note, I understood that in front of me, I had a musician out of the ordinary for quality, musical intelligence, and for the extraordinary ability to improvise music. And so I'm going to definitely want to get into that because it's, of course, jazz is known for improvisational, being very improvisational, where classical music does not get that reputation. But I think that might be something that here we could discuss. You were born, though, in Catania, in Sicily, and you began studying classical music at the age of 8. And by the age of 10, you were very fluent, I guess, already playing the instrument very well, and known as a child prodigy at that point. You're already, which is very impressive.
I started at age 9 performing.
Performing.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive. But then you began devoting yourself to exploring electronic music, different forms of contemporary music. And then you said that at 19, you started getting into jazz music, which would become a focal point for you, as well as classical. You also, through the Siena Jazz Foundation, you won the scholarship in 2007 to represent Italy in the International Conference of Jazz Schools in Riga, Latvia. You also took part in advanced training classes and courses with very many well-known musicians. And then you were noticed by Enrico Rava, who decided to involve you on a tour of his. So you evidently had proven yourself to him and gained his interest to tour. In 2015, you, as a composer, you curated music for the Think and Learn Big, an animated film inspired by the Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, which is based on the book. And then you also did a track from the album Calling Any Station that was used for commercial cosmetics. So you've done some of that. You've also done soundtracks for a French science channel and also an American Second Thought science YouTube channel you've done music for. You've also done a book on improvisation for guitarists. In 2021, you recorded the single with Matteo Mancuso, who is now getting very well known here in the U.S. You also done, of course, these two records here that we're going to talk about with Umberto Fiorentino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
And then you also have played with a Turkish musician who I've never heard of. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Is Cenk Erdogan?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you worked with Jordan Rues for a single, who is, of course, very well known here in the U.S. for Dream Theater and other progressive rock projects. So he's very well known. And then I also noticed that you have a DAW plugin that you made for guitar sounds. It's called the Quartarone Guitar Reverie Sound Library.
Yeah.
And looks like you've got about 12 releases of your own. So
yeah, I never counted, but yeah, maybe maybe more.
So you've got quite a resume there. And so I really am very impressed, but I wanted to start out about your musical influences. Who influenced you to start playing guitar? Is it your parents or?
No, actually it was my uncle, because the first time I heard him playing, It was about he's a guitarist and a guitar teacher, and he was about to go to Mexico to do a little bit of touring with an orchestra, and he was about to perform the first concerto of Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco, that is a very well-known composer for classical guitar. And I remember, like it was yesterday, the moment I heard him playing the intro of this concerto. It was like I have to play guitar. I had no other thought. Like that was it. I discovered all of a sudden my passion, the reason why I'm alive. So that's my uncle. I owe everything to him, also because it was my first guitar teacher, and he gave me technique. He was very serious, very classical, and yeah, that was my first approach with how I discovered guitar.
And this is at 8 years old.
Yeah.
And and did you pick it up very? You obviously have some natural talent, but how did you practice a lot? And how did you learn to really, were you practicing hours and hours a day? Did it come easy to you?
Yeah. I mean, I never practiced like a lot of hours when I was a child. I actually studied like 2 or 3 hours a day, because after a while I began performing at 9 years old. I began to do, to participate at many classical guitar competitions, and also concerts. And yeah, I was born with this natural talent, but of course I studied a lot. And
To read music? You started to learn to read music as well?
To read music, yeah. Classical guitar is just the written notes, basically.
And so that was your focus for quite a while, the classical playing, right? And then you would get into some more modern music. You'd start recording later.
Yeah, actually, it was I had to stop at age 14, because I have an older brother that was very, I had a passion for electronic music, techno, hardcore music. So this arena fascinated me, and I discovered a new world, and I actually began to program, on Fruity Loops when I was, I think, 10. So it was a parallel route that I took. I played classical guitar, serious music, and then I programmed. I composed on my computer, and I was into electronic music. So I made a decision to stop my classical career at 14, and then I had to stop, and then I rediscovered the guitar at age 19 with jazz music, and it was something really incredible. It was like falling in love for the second time, because I have forgotten the guitar for all the years that I didn't play. And then, the guitar appeared again in my life, but with a different, in a different mood, in a different way. And it was through improvised music, and that changed everything for me, because you have to understand that coming from the classical world, and all of a sudden you jump into the improvised music, is a trauma, because in classical music you have the sheet paper, and you have to I can say channel the message of the composer. in jazz and improvisation, you are music. So you have to play you have to, say something. So it's completely different. And of course, you have to actually know music and put your hands inside the materials, harmony, rhythm, melodies, counterpoints, etc. So it was like my first guitar teacher was amazing. And when he showed me the things that he played, I was thinking like, I will never be able to do this because it's too difficult. Because you have to think and act and know in real time. So it's not easy at first, especially if you never did it before, if you come from classical music. So that was my introduction to jazz. Yeah.
And what were there any particular jazz musicians that you really got into that were guitar players?
You wouldn't believe, but the story goes like this. I go to a record store and I see a guy on the cover of a CD, and I didn't know who he was, and he was Wes Montgomery,
Okay.
and it was the incredible jazz guitar of Wes Montgomery that turned out to be my favorite record of all time, and I still think is the greatest guitar record ever, and that was my first time me buying a CD, a jazz CD. The second time was another guy, and it was Umberto Fiorentino.
Okay.
So can you imagine, like, for me to record with him is something spectacular, it's something really big, because I grew up listening to Umberto and Wes Montgomery, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I literally listened to them nonstop. I was crazy back then because I used to, my formation years when I really learned. It was a wonderful process. I mean, it was. I still remember it like the most beautiful time of my life because every day was a new challenge. Every day was a new, you discover something new. So it was amazing. And of course, Wes Montgomery and Umberto, I listened to them a lot. But something I say often to my students now is that I never copied them. I just listened to them and absorbed their energy and their items. But and I used to listen even at night when I was sleeping because I wanted to go into my subconscious.
Absorb it.
Yeah, absorb it not only when I was, awake, but also when I was sleeping. And what a beautiful time! And of course, many others, many others. I remember in my 20s, I had many periods. I had, the John McLaughlin periods, the Pat Metheny period, the Paco de Lucia period, and I also saw him live, and it was incredible. And but at the end of the day, I never, even though they are idols of mine, but I never saw them as idols. Like I have to be like them. I always try to say something.
So let's talk then. How did you end up meeting Umberto? Because him being an influence, did you already know him, or how did you meet him?
The first time I contacted him was the MySpace era. So I'm talking about like 2006, something like that. And I elaborated a theory on the substitution of the dominant chord, and I sent it to him, and he corrected. And then I think he was curious at that point, like this 20 years old is thinking something, you know. And then I went to his house for a guitar lesson, of course, because at that point I was like 23 or 22 maybe, and I was about to go in tour with Enrico Rava, and we played, but I wasn't really ready. I mean, I was ready, but I wasn't, because you know, Umberto is like the pinnacle of Italian jazz guitar. So you really have to be really strong in your chops. And then we met again in 2016, and then at that point we were just not talking, just playing for hours. And then he said to me, we have to do something, you know. And that's how the project was born.
And did you guys already know of Lorenzo with the Birdbox?
Oh, no.
The studio? Did you already?
No. Lorenzo, I remember he contacted me in 2019, and then yeah, after a while we recorded at his studio. And Lorenzo made these records possible because he produced everything. So yeah, he's amazing. He's a big you know, figure in this project.
So tell me about your experience recording with all this analog equipment. And I'm sure you probably didn't run the equipment, but how was that to go into the studio and see all the tape machines and all that kind of stuff? That must have been pretty.
You know, it's amazing, and you know, it's one of the greatest studio I've ever recorded in. You know, because it's avant-garde, and it's analog is something that you don't see often, and the quality of the sound is incredible. So it's actually a pleasure when you hear yourself and Umberto in this case with such a high quality. And you know, the first record, Anamorphosis, was recorded in binaural recording, which is you know, a head, that exactly the head. And the second was with proximity technique, you know, something more exactly. And but I can say that it was a wonderful experience because the person Lorenzo is, and because the studio is, you know, outside the studio is fantastic. There is a horse, and you can, you know, be friendly with the horse. There are dogs. There's nature. A lot of space. It's beautiful inside the studio and even outside the studio. So there is this really relaxed atmosphere where you can concentrate, meditate on what you're going to do, and yeah, great experience.
Was it a lot of pressure recording that way versus recording digitally? Were you at all worried about the tapes and that kind of stuff, using tapes, you know, how, or was that not really an issue?
I mean, yeah, but with Umberto is everything comes easy, you know. Is, you know, you can do like 2-3 takes of the same piece, but at the end of the day, it's okay. We chose this one, but we could have chosen another one because
right.
Because our interaction is so natural. Our interplay is I don't know. It's like we know each other from forever, but I don't know. But maybe because I listen to him a lot, so I know where he's going. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a spiritual thing, like or we think we are connected mentally, and if you listen on the records, there are certain moments where we are. It sounds like it's written down, and it's not. It's all improvised. So,
which is what I wanted to get to next. Is you have these? How much of this is written? Because it kind of, did you have just basic chord charts written out, and you can work within that framework, or how did that work?
okay, there are certain pieces where we have the chart, and but the concept is okay. There is no known piece. For example, "All of Me," for example, the most played song ever. Like, but you can give a very famous piece another light if you really concentrate and it's on the song is just a way to express yourself. It's not the song. There are different schools of thinking about this, but because certain musicians are like, the song is the song, but me and Umberto are like, okay, this is the song, but this is the form. But what we put inside the form is me. So that's the concept. And the other pieces were totally improvised, which was one of the tests that Umberto did when I went to his house. And other are random chords.
Okay. Oh, really?
Really, yeah. Because it's beautiful what can happen when you don't know exactly. You never practice the
Right.
progression. So yeah.
Which that really, I played guitar since I was in my teens, but my influences were all rock music, blues that have very simple, for the most part, simple structures. So you've got certain pattern of chords, you might have a bridge, you've got maybe a certain ending you want to do, and then you can do a little improvisation with your solos here and there, but you still have to follow along. So it's a very, very different thing, especially when I listen to this album. It's very intriguing, but it's very difficult to understand what's going on. It's very beautiful, and you can hear this conversation happening back and forth between you guys, but it really boggles my mind when you come from like more traditional Western music. And I guess my question is, I've noticed on some of your YouTube videos, you have classical improvisation, which you don't hear a lot about. Like you were saying, most of the time, classical music, you read what's on the sheet and you play close to that of what you think the person that wrote that. But where does improvisation come in with classical, and what are you improvising off of? Just the melody, or how does that work?
No. That's a different concept. I am a classical guitarist, and but in my career I've been playing a lot of guitars, like electric guitar, archtop guitar, because when you have a drum, it's impossible to play classical guitar. But my main, the thing that I feel at home is just me. Maybe because I've been doing this since I was a child. When I take the classical guitar, something switch in my mind, and I feel, at home. And but anyway, from a technical standpoint, I analyzed Baroque music, and even before, even Renaissance, and this means that American, what I call American school, American music, is a wonderful, beautiful school of thinking. But I mixed America and Europe, where I actually come from, because the American school is melody, rhythm, and chords, but Europe is counterpoint, which is similar but completely different in a way, because it means that chords do not exist. It's multiple lines played together that, but in the back of your mind, you are thinking chords. It's a bit complicated to explain. But anyway, what I came up with was a mix of jazz and classical, and with a lot of attention to counterpoint. That's what I what I've studied the most in the recent years, and especially from 2022 on. Because I met a lot of classical guitarists in 2022, which is strange because they are the masters of technique. And one of them asked me, "Do you study technique?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, I just play the guitar, but actually doing some exercises, actually improved my improvisational skill. It's incredible because, sometimes you're so much concentrated on music, on the notes you're gonna play, that you forget that you are using your hands. So, but we are made of muscles, and body. You play with your body, and I began doing some exercise they suggested me, and so the words of American music, jazz music, and European music, classical music, are for me are the same thing.
I got you. And so, like when you play like a standard piece like Autumn Leaves, a standard, when you do your improvisation, are you doing it from? I guess you're doing it from both experiences of classical and what you would, I'm around a lot of jazz musicians here in Birmingham, and because they have a really neat open jazz jam session with Alabama Hall of Fame player here, trumpet player, a couple of them, but they always talk about they play more of a hard bop, bebop, so it'll be more straight ahead jazz, and they always talk about you got to know the melody if you're going to really improvise off of standards like that, the Great American Songbook type stuff. So are you approaching it from that standpoint, or just a mixture?
It's it's a mixture, but the melody is important and is a way of improvising. The thematic development. If you have Autumn Leaves, you begin with the theme, and then from there, you don't you use that thematic movements and material till it becomes something else. You don't have, that's actually a technique, and I think it's called thematic development. I don't know, but you don't leave the theme until it's exhausted. It crashes down, and then you, like Jim Hall, for example, is a master of this, and
Right.
he said something like, "Don't just play a phrase like hanging there until until it becomes natural to say something else." So the melody is important. Basically, I think the harmonic structure, that is the most important thing, at least for me. And then on top of that, multiple voices. So it's strange because you have to have your attention divided. On one side, there's the structure and the harmony, and on the other side are the choices you make, and melodic, um, uh, the melodic choices that you make, but they are simultaneous, so it becomes harmony. And there are many ways to approach improvisation. Is not something that easy to describe, because I also do a lot. I also know a lot of techniques. I can, improvise more jazzy, or I can improvise more classical. It's just a matter of context.
So part of it's learning that language too, I would assume, because you have to learn the jazz language in a sense in order to be able to speak in that type of. But this is unique because to me, it sounds like a real mixture of classical and jazz. And how did you determine how long these songs were going to be? Since some of it's improvised, did you say, okay, in other words, how do you start and end some of these songs so that they're not 15 minutes or you run out of things to say? Or
No. It's a natural process. I can't explain it to you. It's very hard to explain. It's
very intuitive.
No, I can make this example. Right now we are having a conversation. How long it would be, we don't know, until we have something to say to each other. It's the only example. Communication and the spoken words is the only example that fits, to explain the musical, because we don't know what are we saying when we play, but we are saying something. We're saying something, and especially when there's someone like Umberto, and it's a dialogue, and the interplay is the focus of these records.
Right. What is your take on this? Is something I'm interested in. Your take on is this whole new AI, where I don't know if you've heard of this website called Udio.
Yeah.
Where people are, spending 30 minutes putting in their lyrics and this thing spitting out 30-second pieces, and people are, and in a nutshell, it seems to me that a movie company, for example, could go and hire someone for $40 an hour or whatever, and they can sit down and come up with all these different AI generated pieces and use those for, in this example, for a movie soundtrack. Mm-hmm. Well, do you feel that this is going to be a threat to musicians making a living? I mean,
first of all, I'm 39, so I'm a little bit too old to really understand what's going on. I mean, I'm still young, but I come from another world. When I grew up, there wasn't YouTube. When I was learning there wasn't nothing. I mean, there was, but it was at the first stage, So, and I think that AI is not intelligent, and also the thing that humans have is intuition, because we are connected with the source. And I don't think a machine can be connected to the infinite intelligence. And that's why it will never replace a human being.
I agree.
Yeah, because a computer can combine information, but it can't go to the source.
Right. And you seem to be somebody that's open to using technology. Obviously, you have your own DAW plug in there, and I'm the same way. I think technology is great when it's used properly. Are you into what music do you listen to personally? Do you still listen to a lot of classical music now, or are you listening to more jazz? Do you ever got into American blues or rock music at all?
I missed the rock part. I had friends who used to listen to, Rage Against the Machine, for example, or Oasis, but I never had a real passion for the rock side of music. I I do have a big passion for rap music. I follow,
Oh,
you know,
interesting.
all the great artists of this era, and yeah, people don't believe it, but I always listen to rap, and of course I listen to classical music and jazz. But my main inspiration right now, I mean, not right now. I mean, it's been like 15 years or so. And I always listen to rap because to me, rap is the evolution of jazz. It took the improvisation,
Okay.
the freestyle, but with words instead of notes. So it's fascinating to me, really.
Interesting.
And
So go
yeah,
ahead.
regarding the plugin, when I came out, I used to say to my friends, like, I became a program. Like now I'm not only a human being, but like someone else can play my guitar even when I'm not there. It's a beautiful thing, you know. It's actually I'm very proud of this project because it's helping thousands of composers around the world expressing their music through my sound, my electrical guitar sound. So yeah, it's weird because I remember it's an Australian company, and the owner Dimitri. I remember the first demo he sent, and I was like, I never played that, but he was like, this isn't you, it's me playing your guitar, and it's incredible. So
So he helped you develop it. How much of it was? How did you develop that? You know,
I recorded it, not
okay.
developed. The development side and the programming was by Valiant Sample, this Australian company. But I did the recording, and it was hard because we are talking about something like 4,000 sounds. So
Oh,
with the
wow.
it was very hard, but at the end it's something I'm really proud of because everybody, you know, uh, always react to the product and say beautiful things about it, so I'm very happy about it.
That's pretty neat. What about? I'm curious how you met Jordan Rudess, and I think Matteo Mancuso. Isn't he from Sicily as well? Did you know
Yeah,
him?
Palermo. Yeah, Palermo. Yeah, Matteo, I met him in, I think, 2021 or 20. I don't remember. No, there was still COVID because I remember we were wearing our masks. And yeah, I remember when I first heard Matteo, because it's strange because I always played with this technique of using fingers instead of a pick. And then my friends came to me and said, "There's a guy who plays like you. Like you have to watch him." And then I think he contacted me after a while, and we became friends. And I always encourage him, and he's adorable. I love him as very humble, and I think he will eventually develop something really, you know, recognizable in terms of style and because he's so talented that he can play everything.
He is very talented.
So, yeah. And regarding Jordan Rudess, he was incredible because uh, I don't. He contacted me, I think, through Instagram, and because he wanted to take a lesson from
Well,
me.
interesting.
You know, yeah. Because he said he is an incredible keyboard player, like maybe the greatest ever. But he wants to play guitar, and he was fascinated with the fingerstyle technique that I have. And he took this lesson via I think Skype or WhatsApp. I don't remember. And then he said to me, I bought one of your album, classical guitar. So I was like, really? And and after a while, it was his idea to he said like you have to record something, and then I will record something, overdub your music, and I'm very happy about this collaboration. Not only because he's a very famous player, very famous musician, but the results is different.
It is,
And
yes. I listened to it.
I don't know how to describe this this style because you know I don't know. I'm really happy, of course, about this collaboration. It came out of nowhere. uh,
Are you looking
so
so what future projects are you looking towards? Are you going to be recording with Umberto again or doing any other kind of projects with him, or what do you have on the
I
horizon?
today is the 5th. In 10 days, I will be in Rome because we have to do an interview for an important radio station, and we will record something new. But I
Okay.
don't anticipate too much, but this is an anticipation right now. And I'm very happy to, every time I perform and I record and I play with Umberto, is to me, is I'm like in a sort of ecstasy because it's like we know each other for a long time, musically.
And then are there any other musical projects or any other directions that you're going in, or any other solo projects or anything like that
Yeah.
that you're looking at doing?
Of course, of course. Right now, my solo project became, my main focus. I just want to, before 2022, I used to practice on archtop or electric guitar, and right now I can't. Like for me, my instrument is classical guitar. It's like recognizing your voice, and a signature model will come out very soon. This is another anticipation, and I think I tried a prototype the other day, and I was shocked by the results because this luder from Sicily somehow managed to get a very beautiful sound from um, uh, an amplified classical guitar, which usually it's not there, because I've never been satisfied with the guitars that we all know that are in stores right now. Because, maybe if you are an electrical guitarist, maybe it's like, okay, now I have the nylon sound. But if you come from classical guitar, you need to feel um, the the air this is moving, and it's very hard when you just have a pickup. And this luder actually invented, um, a method, and I can't wait. I will use this guitar in my upcoming recordings with Umberto in Rome.
Interesting. And who makes the guitar?
It's called Giovanni Ingallinera.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And what guitar do you normally play? A classical guitar? Like you probably have several of them, but which kind of guitars do you normally play?
I play, there's a luter that is my first guitar teacher. You remember my uncle, that in 94, he became a luter. He made my first classical guitar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yes, beautiful. And I grew up with Woods around his studio, and I mainly play his guitars, and it's beautiful because I always have fresh guitars. So yeah, and then I have others, like I have a Yamaha, but mainly I always prefer the
Those.
made guitars are on another level, of course.
And then when you play the electric, which electric guitars do you have that are the hollow body?
No,
Yeah.
no, man. I never spent money on electrical and archtop guitar. I have very cheap guitars. I don't even remember the name of these guitars. I, Nothing fancy. Just I bought an electric guitar just because it was black, like because I like the color. Like, and then I put the P90 because I like the sound of the P90. And I had a Strato because it's very versatile. But I'm talking a lot of years ago when you know I love playing electric guitar, but not as much as classical right now.
So you pretty much stick with that, and it pretty much all nylon string acoustic. You don't play any steel string at
I
all
record
usually.
No, I recorded in 2009 my second album with some acoustic guitar, but it was more like an experiment. I don't know what I'm doing with acoustic guitar, and also with electric. I don't know. It's weird because when I pick up a classic guitar, I know exactly what's going on. When I take an electric guitar, I kind of know, but I don't understand the
Just the
pickup.
feel.
Yeah, it's different, and I don't really understand how the pickups work. I mean, I do, but not as a real electrical guitar player. I had an incredible fascination for David Gilmour. That's my
Oh,
favorite ever. Like the sound, when I was like 19, 20, I used to copy that. I wanted to sound like him because I love that.
yeah, he has such a fluid sound that he sounds like he's playing slide guitar sometimes, the way he just has those fluid
Yeah.
motion and everything, just it's like silk.
Yeah, and it's so melodic. So, wow. When I started with modern music at 19, I used to listen always every day to except jazz, BB King,
Oh
Pink
yeah.
Floyd, and yeah, what else? Yeah, mainly yeah, David Gilmour and BB King. Was my main. But I never went to in depth of the electrical.
Yeah, Buddy Guy is also one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Jeff Beck is also another one of my favorites. Is just incredible.
fantastic player. Yeah.
So, what do you gig out, or do you like in where you live at? Are you able to get gigs playing out, like going to a club and playing a show, or are you able to do that quite a bit?
Uh, there's something that I don't talk too much usually, but I have this fear of flying. So this is something not optimal if you have to travel. So I usually travel by car, which is very demanding. And I take the plane if I really have to take it, but is if I can go any other way, even by boat. But yeah, I performed basically all over Italy, considering classical and jazz. So yeah, I travel a bit. Yeah, and also in London when I was very young. Yeah, I've never been to the United States. It's
Oh yeah,
something
you
I
should.
probably would do.
The will you and Umberto ever play any shows together, like in Rome, or schedule anything to play live?
We didn't have the time to schedule this aspect, so we are very very busy. And right now it's very hard because we are actually searching for an agency, like a booking agent who can take care of that, because we are really busy, and the records are too fresh. And but we, of course, we want to play a lot of shows, and uh,
I think that would be fascinating to see you play live. You two play
Yeah,
live.
of course. And live is, actually the first record is kind of a live show because, with the head. But of course, with people, the energy is completely different, and
Right.
very soon.
And yeah, so that's pretty exciting. Yeah, that'd be really neat to see you guys play live for sure. One last thing, what about music? Do you collect music? Do you listen to records? I know I do a lot of record reviews, and people are always interested. Do you collect records? And then how can we buy your records and your releases? Because it's very difficult in the U.S. Even to get these are very difficult. I had people on my channel come and they went to the website and they had a hard time buying them. I don't know if there's some kind of special currency thing or something.
I don't
But
know,
they
maybe it's of the distributor, and I don't know exactly how it works, but this is Lorenzo Vela stuff, and the label is taking care of these aspects. And I think you can get any record of mine, searching online, and you can ship it, but it will cost you a bit of money, of course, because the distributors are from Europe, and so it costs a little bit. And to answer your question, I wouldn't describe myself as a collector, but recently, I bought a bit, a lot of vinyls and, Stravinsky, Bill Evans, and
I love Bill Evans.
yeah, he's actually one of my favorite musicians. And so I discovered recently the pleasure of having, in your hands a product, So, growing up with the internet thing, the music became liquid. So it's not a technology of my generation, the vinyls. The CDs, yes, but the vinyls is something I discovered, yesterday. So, but it's great. It's something, you read the notes, so you touch the product. It's different.
It is.
And know the market is skyrocketing right now.
It is. I mean, all the records that are coming out is incredible. But what's not being done as much as what you guys have done here, which is actually record something new on analog that goes to record. That's not done that often. Most of the time, the new recordings are recorded digitally, and then they mix and master them for vinyl and for digital download and for CD.
Yeah.
And this is unique in the sense that you've got you guys sitting there playing recorded to tape, and it's made for, of course, it's available on digital, but it's made for vinyl. Which Lorenzo, in conversing with him by email and reading the literature, he's very focused on that part of the industry, which is fantastic.
Yeah, because he's an audiophile, 100%. Like I saw a picture of him. He was like 5 years old with headphones and vinyls all over the place. I don't know if his father was an audiophile, but he's definitely into this kind of things, this word.
He's got a big collection. Were you able to?
Yeah, of course.
And did you actually stay out there at the recording studio? It's at his house or out in the country, right? The studio.
It's on the countryside, and he has like a dependance for artists when you can stay and basically live there for a week. So yeah.
And you spent 3 days there recording this, right?
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The easy
Cool.
part was.
I bet that was fun.
Huh?
I bet that was a lot of fun. Did you like have a full day of 8 hours of recording? You show up, talk about what you're going to do a few takes, and then move on to the next one. Was that kind of how you did it?
Yeah. The process is never the same. It's always on the go. So, but basically, yeah, we have certain amounts of hours, and but you can take your time. You can smoke a cigar,
Yeah,
and because it's very relaxed. The atmosphere is beautiful.
I bet it is. I've been to Italy 2 times. And
Oh, really?
so, yeah, my family came from Gambarali. I don't know if you know where that is. It's east. I think it's almost directly east of Rome in the country, in the hills.
Okay.
So that's where my great grandfather came from there. And so I visited back in I think the last time I was there was 2015. That I was in. I went to Venice and uh, Florence, Firenze, right, and Padua. And so very beautiful. That's I really I've never been to Sicily though, so I heard that's completely different than.
Yeah. The south and the north are completely different. You know, I lived several years in the north, and it's beautiful and different completely. And also, you know, the way of thinking. But you know what happened to me when I was in Turin, in North Italy? I was faster. You know, I was thinking faster. There I discovered, you know, I studied baroque music, and I started to think, you know, what I want to do. That's what I want to analyze. And I don't know why, but here in Sicily is really beautiful. It's an enchanted place, but everything is so like in a bubble, really slow. The life is so slow, which is a great thing. But if you stay here for too long, it becomes a little bit of problem. You know?
And
So
is the language a little bit different too, as far as Italian speak? Is it different in the dialect?
completely, no, it's completely different. You know, if I speak Sicilian dialect with someone from Padua, for example, and he speaks his own dialect, we cannot understand each other because it's so different. It's like two different words, the same nation. So, but what I love about Sicily is, yeah, you know, how you can be fun, you know, humor is the way we joke. That's something I can not renounce. It's so unique.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, and I hope that I was talking to Lorenzo because I don't think he really has any distribution in the United States, and I'm hoping that maybe a couple of these companies will be interested in getting distribution here so that it's easier for people to get these records. I
Yeah.
noticed you have a Bandcamp, right? But you don't have all of your albums on Bandcamp, right?
I do not have the. I think a label did it for me, but I never entered with my account. I don't know. I It's not managed by me.
Oh,
It's
okay.
by the labels, and so yeah. Mm, no, I never. I know what it is, but I never, you know, managed my account.
Right. And then on your website, I went to your website there, but you don't currently have a shop there or anything at this point, right? To where you
No,
can order things directly from your website.
no, because there are links to the various products that I have. So because you know the labels that I work with manage my products, and the Quartarone Guitar Reveries. It's another thing that there is a section that describes it, but no, there isn't a store where you can buy the items.
Well, what I'll do is when I post this video up, I'll put a link to your website so that people that want to go and look and explore and see all the things, that you've done, they can go there and do that. And I hope in the future that there'll be more distribution, because I think that a lot of people here would be interested in your music. It's beautiful, and you're a very talented player, and it's something very unique, and something that I've listened to these albums now a few times through, and listened to some of your music on YouTube and everything, and it's very captivating. It really, you have to sit down and really listen, and I think that's another thing that the younger generation doesn't do very well, is sit down and really pay attention to what's being played, and really listen to it, because this requires your attention. It's very, very, you know, it's not something that you can just snap your fingers to, and it's very easy, or you know, like modern pop music, but it's much more rewarding. It's so.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, and then you know, I put a lot of love in what I do, and in details. And to me, music is something spiritual. So if reason resonates with you, it means that you are spiritual too, and we are communicating at some level. So that's what my music is for, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, and it does. It speaks beyond, beyond the notes. It's communicating.
You know, I always say that my music, because believe it or not, most of the times I get, you know, lights like coming to my mind, and I just pick the guitar and the tune is ready, and then I work on it. You know, so inspiration. You have to, you know, have your antennas really. And I always say that my music is from another world, because it doesn't speak, it doesn't describe this word, it describes the world of imagination, yeah, the inner world, you know.
Oh, is there anything else you want to say before we stop the recording here? Anything?
Just thank you so much, and a big thanks to your, you know, YouTube subscribers, and keep listening, keep dreaming, and thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being my first guest. So I'm going to stop this here.